that's about to be made, but before we get to that, turn our attention to the ladies that are here on the stage and unpack this journey that we've been on in terms of how far we've come and, of course, what still needs to be done as we prepare for the journey ahead. Madam President, I'll start with you, perhaps, just as we set the scene and exactly why it is that this is so important for Netball South Africa.
Thank you, Andy, and good morning. Good morning to everybody. Good morning to the players. Very important, Andy, because we are here today to announce the squad of 24 that Netball South Africa has contracted. History in the making. Netball South Africa has never contracted players. I think players have, their dreams have come true. Even though we are starting with 24, which is a small number, we wish it to grow and be a bigger number in the future. However, I always say a half a loaf is better than nothing. We have to start somewhere for us to be able to grow where we have started. So today it's very important for Netball South Africa that we are announcing these 24 contracted players. We are not only contracting the players, by the way, we are also contracting the management. Something that people didn't know. The coach she's sitting next to me, and the assistant coach sitting next to me. They will all be contracted. And also the team manager and the medical team. So we want to make sure that as we go to the World Cup, why did we contract them? It's when we go to the World Cup, we want to make sure that we don't go to the World Cup to add numbers. Yes, we are the host. But Andy, as I said to you before, and I'll still say it, we are not going to play the 2023 Netball World Cup because we are the host. We have qualified on merit to play the World Cup. We are not like other federations that they would only, play the World Cup because of they are the host. Whether we were the host or not, or this World Cup was in another country, South Africa was going to participate in the World Cup because of the performance of the team. So that needs to be understood, that these girls and the team management have worked so hard that why we want to make sure that we contract them, that they don't say at the end of the day, Netball South Africa was not behind us, was not doing what we would have loved them to do for us, and the players shouldn't complain. I mean, I know it's not what we would have wanted them to have, because I know they've got needs. I mean, one of the players said to me, Coach, President, I'm sometimes called Coach. President, I want to buy a car. And I can only buy a car when I have got a salary advice. And I can only buy a car when you contract us. And I think that player's life has changed now, because we have contracted them. And why we wanted to announce it now is after they've signed on the dotted line to say, yes, we agree, because we would have announced them, but they wouldn't have signed on the dotted line. It wouldn't have been the true reflection of what is happening. So that's why we are here today, to announce the 24 names. And most importantly, 24 is not what we all said. It's well said and done. If there's talent that we see in the country, that the coaches see and the selectors see, believe you me, that player will be contracted. We didn't close door for any player, but for now, they've spotted the 24. We go with the 24 that they've spotted. If coach after TNL can tell me that, President, I've spotted 2 or 3 players that we want you to contract, definitely we will do that.
Well, shots fired to the other federations who apparently do not qualify by merit, but that's not what we're here for, is it, President? Now, while we're on that point, I'll come back to you, Madam President, in terms of the contracts. Now, we say it's contracted players. What does this actually mean? What is in that contract, or how is it different from the previous state that the players were in?
Bongi and them got an allowance that we decided to give them when we got into office in 2017, because they never had allowance. They were just playing for the pride of the country. And we took that decision. But now it's not about the allowance. It's about you are contracted. In a contract, there are also obligations that they have to fulfill. It's not only because of we giving them money and we're saying to them, this is what you should do. They know that they've got obligations. As they are sitting there, they understand that this is what I have to do for my country. Most importantly, Andy, when you don't perform, we will cancel the contract and get a performing player. It's not because of we announced your name, you're part of us, you can now relax and say, oh yeah, it's in the back. I'm going to relax. I do anything. No. This is when you should work harder than before. And this is when you should prove to the country that you were not contracted because of Dumisani Chauke liked you, Dorette Badenhorst liked you, or Norma or Nicole, or Dudu who were selecting liked you at the time. You are contracted because of you deserve to be here, and your talent and your skills, and most importantly, your commitment to the country. It's what's making them to be here.
Well, players, I hope you're listening very, very carefully. It's a performance-based contract for those who are not aware. So if the players are not performing, then that means that there could be space for other players to come in. And the door's not closed. As the president said, there is a pool of players to select from. And if there are other players that have impressed, they do have an opportunity, which brings me to you then, Dorette. In terms of the process then that was followed in identifying these 24 players, how did you go about it to arrive at the 24 that you have now?
Thanks, Andy, and good morning to everyone. We did have a selection camp in March where we invited players that were selected from the SPAR National Championships as well as the TNL of the past year of 2021. And all of those players, as well as the group of players that traveled with us to Northern Ireland, that was part of the SPAR Proteas squad, we all invited them to participate in the trials, and we had a trials camp with all the selectors there. Norma and Nick also came through, and after that we announced the 24 names.
All right, so a lot of people might be thinking, well, you've got a squad of 24 contracted players. There's Commonwealth Games coming up. There's Netball World Cup next year. But it certainly isn't necessarily the players that you'll be taking there. So tell us in terms of the process then, narrowing down the players that you're going to take to the World Cup, what does that entail? And how is it different from the contracts that are being offered now?
Yeah, I think it's important that, like the president said, nothing is closed, and that is why me and Dumisani is watching every game of TNL. We are following the players. We make sure that we know exactly what's going on in the sections, and make sure we do have the right players. And maybe some of the players aren't performing at this stage where we want them, but they will be ready maybe for a World Cup. So it's not necessarily the names that we are announcing for Commonwealth, that it will be the same names for 2023. And we need to open the door there for the players to showcase their talent and make sure that they play their best netball constantly, because it's important for us to know which players can perform. We're going into a few test series now, except for Commonwealth. It's Africa qualifiers after that. So it's important that these players get opportunity to get on court. I think the past few years, we really gave more players opportunity to play for the SPAR Proteas, playing Malawi, playing Uganda, and that is the type of games that we need to see these players in. And I think every opportunity a player receives to actually showcase their talent is important, because that is where we can see if they will make it internationally and if we can select them. But there's a lot of players that's knocking on the door. There's great netball out there at TNL, and yes, no one can relax at this stage.
Now, Coach Dumi, I want to bring you in here because the president did mention that it's not just about the players, but also the management staff are going to be getting contracts. How important is that for you as the coaching staff for the team?
Well, good morning, Andy, and thank you for the question. Good morning, everyone. Well, it's quite important because if you're going to expect the players that get onto the court to play to commit fully to what we are trying to achieve, you need to get the management to commit fully as well. And for you to do that, you need to put something down in writing, and that is in the form of a contract. So again, like Madam President already said, that it's groundbreaking stuff. It's never happened before. So it is going to be happening now with us, that we are able to commit fully to the project. I think it's already been put out there. It's Project Victory. That's what we're working towards, and so that we all don't have our attention and our focus split in all different directions, that we are fully committed to what we want to achieve, both at the Commonwealth Games, with the few test series that are coming up that Dorette just already mentioned, as we build up towards 2023 down in Cape Town.
Yeah, let's talk about Project Victory, because this is quite important in terms of the bigger picture, getting onto the podium at the Commonwealth Games and possibly at the World Cup as well. How does that change how you, as the coaching staff, then approach your preparations? Because you have players now that are fully available and can focus solely on the project that lies ahead.
Well, one thing that we've always wanted, even before they were contracted, we would have what we call mini training camps where the players would regularly come in and we train with them. And now that they are fully full-time available for us, that gives us more opportunity to work with the players and make sure that they're constantly working on the different weaknesses or areas of improvement that we do identify with them, because it's one thing to have analysis and you're able to point out what it is that you need to work on. It's another thing to literally get onto the court and work on it. So this will then give us an opportunity to have more contact with the players, that we're able to work on those areas that we would have identified for improvement, to make sure by the time we get to whatever test series, whatever game that we're playing, we're not always, just going back and talking about the same things and the same mistakes and whatnot. There's an element or a percentage of improvement that we can see on a constant basis. I mean, with Commonwealth Games being 51 days away, the World Cup is actually even closer as well. So by the time we come back from Com Games, it's August, it's Christmas, it's 2023, it's the World Cup. So time is really running out, and it's a great opportunity, perfect timing for everyone to come on board and say, listen, Project Victory, we're owning it, it's our responsibility, this is what we're working towards, and it's a great opportunity for all of us to work towards that, to leave a legacy for those coming after us.
Sure, exciting times, of course. Netball South Africa, following in the steps of other federations, if you're thinking of the likes of the Momentum Proteas, the South African cricket team, who also have full-time contracted players. And President, I suppose that brings us to the next question then. Is this a once-off thing, or can we expect that in future we will have, these contracts on an ongoing basis?
Andy, look, this is a step towards turning netball professional. We cannot start something and we leave it hanging. These players will get used to these contracts, will get used to this money, and they will get used to perform. So we decided as Netball South Africa that we will reward performance, and when you want people to do a job for you, you have to always make sure that wherever they are happy. A happy team, a happy management will deliver for you. And that's why we went all out to make sure that we make them happy and we keep our girls happy. I mean, even in this year's TNL, I don't think I'm the person to not say this, because I'm the relevant person to say this, that we even increased the money for the players that we'll be getting at the end of TNL. Because what we saw at the performance of TNL this year, it's overwhelming. I've never seen netball like that as I'm sitting on a bench, I'll stand up and say, wow, the movements and what you see, the energy there that is there, makes you as a leader want to make them more happy and want to make them perform more. And the more they perform and the more competition you'll see, is the more the variety the coaches have from choosing. And the more talent we have in the countries, we know that we are not going to struggle anymore to say, the repeat of 2018 Commonwealth Games cannot be there. We don't want the repeat of Commonwealth Games in 2018 where we lost 3 shooters and we were expected to play Commonwealth Games after losing 3 shooters at Commonwealth, by the way. And no, we lost 2 shooters and pressures at the Commonwealth Games. And to me, losing 3 players at Commonwealth Games, key players, was a blow for Netball South Africa. So when we lose somebody, we must know that we've got somebody exactly capable and at the same standard and same rate and everything that this person will deliver for the country. So we shouldn't have a headache of saying, oh, Bongi's gone, who's going to come in? We must say Bongi's gone, but so-and-so is going to come in. I would have mentioned their names, but it's not yet.
Yes, indeed, not yet the time. The big announcement is coming where we'll find out who those 24 contracted players are. But while we're on that point then, Coach, President mentioning excitement around what we've seen in the Telkom Netball League and potential for the pool to grow. What has your observation been? I'm sure you share the same excitement in terms of the growth of South African netball and the competitiveness that we're now seeing.
Yes, Andy, I think it's very, very important the fact that we decided the SPAR Protea players previously in the squad as well, those players will be back in their different provinces, in those teams, and that is making a huge difference in the different teams. And I think the standard is really increasing. It's great games out there. We love to watch every game. It's excited. I analyze a little bit more. That's not always so good for a coach, but I think it's important out there for us to know that we do have great talent out there. We can now see it with the standard of TNL, and I think it's just great seeing all our players week in, week out playing netball, and I think that is what is so, so important for me. I love every weekend. I can't wait. I think the standard is really great this year, and I think especially the decision of the president and Netball South Africa to bring in, because us as coaches wanted a team to play because we want to work with our players, but I think it was just great, the competition out there for TNL, and them seeing them in their different provinces playing for their different teams.
Of course, we're talking on the local front now with TNL, but Dumisani, quite a lot of excitement as well in terms of our international-based players. We just saw this past weekend 2 of our national team players campaigning in the final in that Vitality Netball Super League.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think all of us were glued to our screens when I think the Thunder and Loughborough took court. We had Shadine van der Merwe on the side of the Thunder, and on the other side we had Zanele Vimbela with Loughborough. Unfortunately, fortunately for Shadine and them, they won. It was, I think in the beginning, it was quite not so exciting game, and then later on when Loughborough decided to start playing netball, it became quite exciting. And I think it's, again, it's an opportunity for us as coaches to be able to watch our players overseas, making sure that they are getting the necessary game time, although some of them have been struggling with a bit of niggles in terms of injuries and stuff, but that's all part of the game. We do know that the medical staff that side does communicate with our medical staff, making sure that our players, by the time they return to put on the green and gold to perform national duty, they are 100%. So yes, exciting to see the girls in England. We do have Lafebre who flew in the other day. She bagged she bagged a couple of awards from her club, the Dragons, Celtics Dragons as well. So it's exciting to see our players not only just playing overseas but excelling and getting awards. Phumza Maweni also from Team Bath, getting a special recognition award on Sunday night as well. So yes, we've got players doing well on the local front, TNL, but we do have our players. Lenise Potgieter played her 100th game down under, you want to call it, as well. So our players are being mentioned all over the world, and it's exciting for us, and we're just glad that they're getting that exposure. They come back, they share it with those that are here at home, playing TNL. The youngsters, talking to them, getting advice, getting guidance, also contributes to the growth of netball in South Africa.
Exciting times indeed. 3 players that got medals in that Vitality Netball Super League. Of course, Team Bath, Phumza Maweni getting that bronze, and of course, Zanele Vimbela getting a silver, and Shadine van der Merwe with the champions Manchester Thunder. So exciting times indeed. President, I guess then the question should be, then do we expect in the 24 that you're about to announce that mix between the international and local players?
Definitely. They might be playing international. However, they are proudly Mzansi girls. And we cannot look the other way around and say, because of their playing international, we cannot say, no, we don't want them. As much as we need them, they also need us. So we need each other. In this game, it's not who is better than the other, but it's about team. And a team needs each other. So we need each other. We need both local and international players.
Of course, a great balance indeed. So you're going to put us out of our misery now, aren't you, Madam President? It's that time where we get to find out who the 24 contracted players are. And the honors were given to President of Netball South Africa, Ms. Cecilia Molokwane, to take us through those names of the players that will now be embarking on this brand new journey, getting contracts for the very first time with Netball South Africa.
Thank you, Andy. It's an honor and a privilege for me today. And I think I even have goosebumps all over my body to say today we're making history. We're changing lives of players. We're changing life of team management. We're changing the narratives in netball. And we're saying we're joining the likes of cricket, as you said. We're joining the likes of football. And we're saying to the girls, you are now the history makers. You'll be written down in the history books of this country when it comes to sport, when it comes to netball.
Now, Madam President, before you get into that, I feel like the room is a bit quiet. We need a drum roll. We need a bit of excitement. This is a big moment for Netball South Africa. So let's get a drum roll going before the President starts her announcement. Come on. Yeah, that's more like it. All right, let's go into it.
Let me start with the captain, my captain, Bongiwe Msomi, who will lead the team. We can never change a captain who works, a captain who leads by example. And she will always be our captain until she decides otherwise. Let me also announce Khanyisa Chawani. Let me announce Izette Grizel. Let me announce Kamogelo Maseko, Marlies Debrain in absentia, Tale Mate in absentia, Tina Mdau in absentia, Nomfundo Ngome Zulu in absentia, Lungile Mthembu in absentia, Refilwe Nketsa in absentia, Linis Potriter, who's overseas, Lefebvre Redeman, who just joined us from overseas. She gave me goosebumps this weekend when they played. I even shouted her name because the interception she got, I was just over the moon. Monique Reineke. Nicole Smith. Nicole Taliat. Elmarie Debrain, who beat the Crenams.
Van der Berg.
Elmarie van der Berg, who beat the Crenams at the weekend, who beat Khanyisa. Shadine van der Merwe, who just won the Vitality Super League. She's got long arms. I wonder why she has them. And she got player of the match, and she deserved it. Jamie van Wyk. Ina Marie Venter in absentia. She was a silver medalist at the weekend at the Vitality Super League, Zanele Vimbela. She was honored also and got a bronze medal, Phumza Maweni. And Sibahle Ngobani. Saski? Sisandile Ngobani, Semi. Sisandile Ngobani, from the Fireballs, I think. And the last one, she's from my province, from Limpopo, Bitumelo Matloko. I think those are the 24 names we have called. And girls, let me say to you, the sky shouldn't be the limit. What's above the sky should be the limit. Congratulations, we're very proud of you.
Congratulations indeed to the 24 players that have just been announced, and thank you very much, Madam President. Not a surprise, we have a number of players that have various names. And if you're wondering who Sesandile is, she also goes by Owetu. She also goes by Semi. It's the same person, the very same player. But congratulations to all the players yet again. Before we do open to the floor for questions, Madam President, you mentioned something about the Commonwealth Games in 2018 where a number of players got injured. The other question will be then, in terms of the contracted players, if there is an injury, what then happens with the contract?
They stay within the contract. And one thing that is nice is they are all on a medical aid that is paid by us as Netball South Africa, the 24 girls. Another history in the making. They've been crying because when they got injured, they would have to carry themselves to see through the injuries. So you got injured playing netball, we would never turn a back on our own. We will support our own. They'll still keep the contract.
Hey.
And I didn't mention one name. The names are 23. I thought the media would have picked it up. The last name is Carla Pretorias.
And on that note, congratulations to Carla Pretorius, just recently giving birth to her baby girl. So wishing her all the best on this new journey and looking forward to welcoming her back into the national team setup, as she has been announced as one of the 24 players contracted to Netball South Africa. Well, thank you to our esteemed guests on the podium, but it's not time for you to step off just yet. We'll now open the floor to the media for any questions. We are going to take just a handful of questions, one round, and then, of course, we'll have to free the ladies to go on about their business. There will be an opportunity for one-on-one interviews for everybody who might have additional questions. So let's take that round of questions then and open to the floor. Right.
Thanks, Nisi. Thanks, Madam President. I mean, wonderful news. And how comforting is it following this announcement with regards to the players not perhaps too worried about the second job and focusing on fully on netball? Thank you.
Very comforting, because if you want to compare apples with apples, you have to make sure that you up your standard. And the only way that we could up our standard was to contract the players, to make sure that they get what is due to them, and for them to be at ease, to say, I don't have to wake up in the morning and go and work, and then after that come back and go and play on a netball court, but I can do what the others are doing and be, professional. I mean, this is the first group of Netball South Africa that is professional. Nobody else is professional, only them. I am not even professional. They are.
Thank you for that question. Just a reminder, guys, if you are going to ask a question, please introduce yourself. Tell us which media house you're coming from, and then you can shoot your question through.
Good morning to me from Newsroom Africa. Congratulations to Netball South Africa and all the players right here. I'm not sure if I missed it, but President, did you mention the duration of the contracts, and how often are you going to review the contracts of the players?
The contract is from the 1st of, is it April?
Yeah.
No. You are different. There's two different parts. There's the others that is the 1st of April, and the others that is the 1st of June. Is it the 1st of April? The ones that will shake head, they understand why I'm saying that. Yes. Until 2023 December. In December in 2023, we'll review the contracts. Yes. Why we did not do it until July is we must give people time to breathe. And we must see after 2023, it's after they win the World Cup and become something else, and become celebrities everywhere, will they still perform? We want to see that. Because maybe the excitement will be too much for them, because I know they will have, doing the rounds around the country with the trophy, saying we are the champions. So we will see after that. No pressure, I'm just saying.
Thank you, Madam President. I think we have another question there.
Good morning, Busisio Mukwena here. The question goes to Madam President, especially now that you just mentioned the World Cup. does the contract maybe change expectations and the mandate from both coaches and the players in terms of performance at the World Cup next year? In 2019, we finished in the top 4. Does this, having the contract now push the team, or maybe the mandate becomes not only just in the top 4, but finishing with the medal in Cape Town next year?
Busi, the mandate will never change, shall never change. It will remain. You end up on the medal podium. It will remain. We are hosting this for the first time on an African soil. We are hosting this first time as Netball South Africa. It's the first time that a female-led federation in the country is hosting a World Cup. And for the first time that the girls, have been contracted. So to me, it's not about the contract, and let it not be about the contract. The mandate must still remain that we end up on the medal podium. No pressure, coaches. No pressure.
Immediately saw Coach Dorette's face as soon as that question was posed. No pressure, but podium is the expectation. We do have another question.
Good morning and congratulations to the players as well as the management of the team, Lonwabo Ngotla from Radio 2000. And this question is for Dumisani Chauke. Coach, just a reflection on your part as a former player and now part of the management to see and live through this experience.
Thank you so much for that. Reflection will have us here until midnight, but just to make it short, it's quite a humbling experience to be sitting in front of you today and having this press conference. A young black girl from the small township of Malamulele. Most people don't even know where that is. To have the dreams to one day wear the green and gold and eventually just be the overachiever that I am one day. Now sitting here as the assistant coach of the SPAR Proteas, I think for me it's a representation of the infinite possibilities that exist, allowing us as people, as human beings, to dream beyond our limits. I mean, some of these girls are still youngsters that never thought that one day they would actually be here having contracts wearing the green and gold. So it's not only a reflection for me, it's a reflection of them, for them as well. But also now looking forward to the Commonwealth Games as well as the World Cup in 2023, I think it's an opportunity for us to be the living examples and the role models to the youngsters that will be watching us, are following us, to tell them that, listen, you don't have to limit yourself. I mean, Bongi, if you were to listen to Bongi's story where she was born, how she grew up, and how she started playing netball and where she is today, that would just give you goosebumps. So each and every girl sitting here, each of us sitting here, from Dorette to Madam President, I mean, even Andy standing behind that very important mic, we all have a different story to share, but luckily our story is shared through netball, and we're able to be a beam of hope, a spark of hope for those coming after us. So that's how I see myself most of the time when I reflect that I need to be the example for those young girls in townships and villages, for them to look at me and say, if she could do it from a small township, so can I. So 2023 will just, I don't know, I can't even explain the feelings that start bubbling up on the inside when I think of what's going to happen in 2023 on home soil for the first time, the Netball World Cup in South Africa.
Oh, very exciting times indeed. Thank you for that question. We've got one more here. And then as soon as we're done with that question, we'll close the questions to the floor.
Thank you so much. Good morning, President. Good morning, coaches. And congratulations from my side as well to all of the players there. President, can I just start with you? Obviously, one of those holistic questions. Obviously, you've got your coaches here. They need to do the groundwork, what's happening on the court, inspire these players to do well, perform on all the platforms. Can I ask you, as the leader of this federation, handing these contracts, historic contracts to these players, do you still think that this move, this historic move, will inspire young people, like you always mention out there, to now look forward to be involved in this sport now going forward, though? Is this inspiration for young people out there? And just maybe the question for the head coach, Dorette. Dorette, can I ask you, what's going to happen over the next couple of weeks now, heading into Birmingham? Have you guys played that match behind the closed doors against England yet? Or?
Well, you're getting ahead of yourself a bit there. We were going to get to that. Next steps, what's going to happen. But, Madam President, I'll let you respond to that first question.
You know, I'll tell you a story. On the weekend, I was with a legend by the name of Martha Machoka. They called her Manzo during her playing days. You know, she said something to me, and I even had tears in my eyes. Because she said to me, how I wish you were a president in my time. Because you would have changed my life. I wouldn't be the person I am today. Because I'm no one. I had tears in my eyes when I heard that. And she said, do you know how many lives have you changed by contracting those players? And you know how I wish I was them at the time, because do they know how privileged they are? Because in our playing days, nobody cared for us as you guys are caring for them. You are changing lives. She was even telling me about Twiza. Little did I know that Manzo knows about Twiza. And she said to me, girls want to play netball now. Everybody wants to have a netball ball. And your hashtag mode of saying, taking netball back to the people. They call me Scheme. Those at that time, they call me Scheme. She said to me, Scheme, it's working. Those little girls that wish to be Bongi, they see it's possible. So those little girls that see Kamohelo at her township, they will see that it's possible. That you can be Kamohelo from a township, but you can change. You know, being a Kanyisa from Bushback, little do people know. Bula bula Changan, Fana no Dumisani, Baya Fana nje. They speak the same language. That girl from that village didn't know that netball can change your life. But after all this, they will understand that netball can change your life. And we want to impact on each and every little girl to say it's possible and it can be done and it shall be done only if you believe and only if you have hope. And I think what we did is we resuscitated the hope of players and of everybody else to say, in netball, there's life. In netball, there's a career. So, to me, this is a beam of resuscitation of hope of netball in the country.
Very touching story indeed. For those of you who might not know who Manzo is, it's history recognizing history. One of the historic players of the time, if you're looking at the likes of the late Rosina, as well as Portia Demo, who is with Netball South Africa, first batch of black players coming into the national team setup. So it's really great to hear from her thoughts about another historic moment in the life of Netball South Africa. But that comes brings us to the end of the questions. You are welcome to have one-on-one interviews with the ladies on stage, should you want to. But Dorette, you do have one more thing to share with us.
I'm just going to answer your question. Yes, we will be in camp for the first time after April the 22nd of June. We, at this stage, definitely will play England. We're still waiting for the reply of Malawi, but we will have closed sessions up to the 3rd of July, a few days back at home, and then we will gather again on the 11th of July when we will leave the 12th to the UK, where we will have a training camp in Bath. From there we will move to Cardiff, where we will play the two test games against Wales, and a day later going into the Athletes' Village for Commonwealth Games.
All right, cool. So that puts to bed the question of what's the next steps. So plenty of netball to be played between now and then. And of course, the Commonwealth Games, just 51 days away now. 28th of July is going to be the day when that kicks off. So make sure that you are tuned in. It's going to be live on a SuperSport, so you can make sure you get that. Madam President, as we prepare to close things down, there is one more question, and that is around, you did say all of the players obviously signed on the dotted line because you didn't want to announce before that is being signed. Has every single player signed? Is this now the 24 that is going to be moving forward with contracts?
This is the 24 moving forward unless we get something as a surprise, for which we are open for surprises because we like them. Remember, any player can now get a full-time job somewhere and say, I don't want to do netball. We have to let her go. We cannot keep her. We cannot, selfish as we are, and as much as we want to win the World Cup, but they also have lives to live. I mean, Izette is a married woman. She can decide tomorrow she wants to fall pregnant, and we cannot stop her. No, I'm not saying you do that. You will never do that, Izette. You'll never do that. But I'm just giving an example to say, you know, that's why we have opened this thing to say anything can happen at any time. We have to be realistic. We are living in another world, and we're living in a world of reality. So if we are not realistic about issues and say we have closed it, and we don't say if you contracted you can't go when you've got maybe better opportunities, we cannot stop anyone. So as I said, open for everybody. So whatever, but I know that the players have signed. That I know, and the King Ching, it's happening every day on the month. Let me not say the day, but it's happening, the King Ching.
Yeah, lots of money in the bank, ching ching, and that is how we conclude the announcement. 24 players contracted to Netball South Africa for the very first time, a historic moment in the trajectory of Netball South Africa. Looking forward to a lot more Commonwealth Games, Netball World Cup, Africa qualifiers. Are we having Diamond Challenge this year, Madam President?
Definitely, definitely. The coach will play and play and play and play until she says, I don't want to play anymore.
A lot to look forward to. Diamond Challenge, Quad Series, then it's Netball World Cup. So all of that still happening around the national team. And of course, those training sessions, as the coach mentioned as well, with the team. So thank you very much for joining us for this announcement. You are free to arrange the one-on-one interviews with the ladies here on stage. But yeah, do enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you so much for joining us here.